My name is Vardhan Gatani, and I'm a Business Development Manager and the External Product Manager for our Analytics product here at Estimote. I'll be walking you through this video recording, which uses our Analytics product as a backdrop to visualize and summarize the data generated over the lifetime of the pilot. There are 3 quick things that I'd like to note before we jump in. First, all of the following dashboards were built exclusively with Estimote data. Second, the date window of analysis for these dashboards, which of course can be adjusted at will, currently examines data from a portion of the pilot beginning on August 1st, 2015 and ending on May 10th, 2016. With that said, let's jump in. Our first dashboard begins with a summary that contains 3 visualizations. On the top left, you can see a map of the United States representing the locations of 50 stores that have been lit up for the pilot. Each store is designated by a different colored bubble, with the size of the bubble indicating the number of total visits observed by that store since the pilot's inception. Underneath this map, we can see a graph of unique visitors in red and visits in gray, categorized by month. At the top right, we see a heat map containing the data on average for each visit duration to each store month over month, segregated by store types, with total averages on the far right. If one were to desire more information about a specific data point or a certain location, he or she could simply use this tool and hover over that data or click that data to reveal a tooltip with further descriptive data. In addition, all of these images are dynamically linked. This means that if we were to want to highlight a certain geography for geographical analysis, we could use the map to highlight that portion or region. So in this example, let's use California, highlight the portion or region, and the entire dashboard automatically updates dynamically for that region. Right now, we're looking only at data for California, and clicking out brings us back to the entire view. Let's move on to dashboard 2. Our second dashboard focuses on comparing performance across store types. The graph on the left represents the total visits to each individual adjacency, while the mirrored chart on the right contains information on the average dwell time. The color of the bars represent the store types, where the shades of purple represent the S-type stores, the shades of green, the P-type stores, the shades of orange, the G-type stores, and blue representing experiential as well as C-type stores. What's rewarding about this view is that it allows us to quickly identify inconsistencies across visitorship and dwell times. As we see on the far left, the most popular adjacency across all types of stores is beauty. However, that is not the most popular adjacency if we dive into a specific store type, where for S-type stores, the most popular is actually meat. Looking at the right, we see a very even distribution of average dwell times, which suggests a balanced planogram strategy across store types. The largest outlier here is guest services, which has a dwell time that is higher than average for S09 stores. This might inspire a closer look into what might be causing the longer average dwell time. Is it a single underperforming store that's pushing up that average? Or maybe does it suggest a larger problem within store operations for that type? You can use this type of chart to clarify that information. Let's move to the third dashboard. The third dashboard is a tool that enables the comparison of adjacency performance using a pair of 2 charts, a traditional graph and a bubble chart, each containing information about unique visitors, visits, and average dwell time for each adjacency that's in scope. The left and the right side of the dashboards can be adjusted to represent any combination of bundles or stores that one would like to compare. For example, currently, the left side of the dashboard is an aggregation or a bundle of the entire group of stores within the pilot, while the right side of the dashboard is a representative of a single Chicago store. This can be changed again by using the filters on the right. However, let's keep that one store in mind. What's interesting when we compare this single store to the entire bundle is that we notice that the adjacency that's most popular changes. For the entire bundle, as we noted before, beauty was the most popular adjacency. However, looking specifically at this Illinois-based store, we see that healthcare and personal care are by far the 2 most popular adjacencies, also containing the highest dwell times, which is above the national average. These bubble charts along the bottom help all of this key information for comparison come to light. For these specific charts, the size of the bubbles represents the number of visits made to each of these different adjacencies, while the darkness of the red, ranging from a very light pink to a very dark maroon, represents the average duration in minutes. In this specific case, the darkest two bubbles are personal care and healthcare, which both have average durations nearing about 12.1 minutes. The lightest pink bubbles, which represent the smallest average duration for those adjacencies, have an average duration of about 3 minutes. Let's take this store analysis a little further. The fourth dashboard is where things start to get really interesting. What we're looking at are two identical floor plans for that same Chicago Near North store that we isolated on the previous dashboard, but now with further beacon data overlaid on top. The left visualization shows an in-store view of our beacons aggregated up to the adjacency that they've been tagged with. For example, the 5 beacons that represent check lanes have all been consolidated into a single bubble to make the visual more comprehensive. Each color of the bubble represents a different adjacency, while the size of the bubble represents the relative average dwell time spent near each beacon. On the right-hand side, we see a view of the numerous in-store paths that guests have taken during their pilot. The thickness of each path represents its popularity based on minutes traveled. We filtered all of this pathing data so that visits to tags by guests are only registered if they last for 30 seconds or more. This means that if a guest were to briskly walk by 3 beacons to find his or her destination, those 3 beacons, which were just pass-bys, do not skew the path. This tactic helps us cut out the noise and see desired destinations and the true intent of guests. Flipping to the 5th dashboard, we take this pathing analysis a level deeper. The left-hand side is a repeat of the previous view, but the right-hand side isolates the 35 most popular paths taken through the store. With this second view, it is easy to better understand the average customer journey, specifically for the Chicago Near North store. Based on our Estimote data, it is clear that the most popular paths in the store originate with the pharmacy in the lower left corner. We can imagine that many individuals visit this store primarily to visit the pharmacy and occasionally are upsold by entering the store's left-hand side. This might indicate why we see more traffic on the left-hand side of the store. Continuing in this vein, we flip to dashboard number 6, which takes an actual look at real customer or guest journey. One of the coolest parts about Estimote's beacon technology is that because it is driven through mobile devices, we can personalize our analysis down to the individual user level. Of course, this data is anonymized, but the visualization on the right shows 4 different visits made by a single anonymous guest to the Chicago location during the pilot period. Each individual visit is represented by a different color, and the thickness of the paths represent dwell times for each path. This information can be extremely useful when considering the guest experience at the store level and can even be integrated to welcome a shopper back to the store or personalize their visit through other means. What's really interesting is the very diverse paths that this customer has taken through the store. What I find most intriguing about all of this data is that it can be used in conjunction with other data, such as marketing data or in-store or in-app POS data, to achieve true in-store measures for key omni-channel KPIs that have eluded many retail organizations. Examples could be marketing attribution or in-store conversions, which using Estimote data are unlocked for the first time. Thank you for listening to this recording.